Okay, good evening, everyone. The North Smithfield.
Use the mic.
Oh, yeah, I forget. Hang on.
Printed the 6 pages.
There it is, there it is. North Smithfield Planning Board meeting for Thursday, October 9th, 2025 is called to order at 7:03 PM. First on the agenda is a roll call. Dr. Benoit.
Here.
Dr. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Porter.
Here.
Mr. Menard.
Here.
Ms. Ramos.
Here.
Chair is here. Mr. Ossier is not here.
Mr. Osier notified us that he would be unable to make the meeting tonight.
Okay, thank you. Next, please take a look at the minutes from the September 11th meeting and provide any feedback, comments, or questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. The meeting minutes from September 11th are accepted as presented. Next, do any planning board members need to disclose any potential conflicts on the matters before the board this meeting? Hearing none. Do any planning board members need to disclose any ex parte communications about any contested or material adjudicatory facts and opinions concerning the merits of any application before the board this meeting? Hearing none. Our voting members tonight, Dr. Benoit, Dr. Roberts, Mr. Porter, Mr. Menard, and myself. So first on the agenda, Unified Development Review, Tractor Supply Company, 934 Victory Highway. This item is this topic is a continued topic from the September 11th meeting. So, Mr. Carullo, could you
On yours.
just summarize the continuance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Tractor Supply was before the board on September 11th, made a presentation as part of a public hearing. The board did hear testimony from Tractor Supply and their representatives, as well as from the general public. At the end of the presentation and questions from the general public, we were running late in the evening, so the planning board closed the public hearing and continued the item for board deliberation and a potential vote this evening on the application. I believe there is a representative of Tractor Supply here to have a discussion or make presentation to the board for any questions or concerns that the board has.
Okay.
I don't have Porter's stuff on mine.
Good evening, board members. For the record, my name is Casey Birch. I'm a project manager at the Solli Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of Compost Capital, the developer, Matt Darling,
I don't have that.
who unfortunately couldn't
I don't
make
care.
it this evening due to travel issues.
I don't care.
I believe a lot of your
You got it.
questions were answered at the last meeting. I did run through Sam Alcante from my office is here presenting Solli on September 11th. There was a question regarding the architecture to incorporate clapboard elements rather than the split face block on the front portion of the building to satisfy your request. We did speak with the developer, and he is more than happy to implement that for the design. So, other than that, I can answer any other questions regarding
Okay.
the
Who wa-
project.
Thank you. Who wants to go first?
Can I just ask a question? Can I have your name again?
Oh, sure, it's Casey Birch.
I'm sorry?
Casey Birch.
Okay.
B-U-R-C-H.
Okay. Thank you.
In regard to the architectural modification of the building, I pretty much disagree with my colleagues with all apology. If you will look at the location of that building, the offset, it is 100 yards Is it about 100 yards from 102?
In feet, I would say about 300 feet, I think. I
Yeah.
believe.
Close enough to 100 yards for me. But the offset, you will not see that building from 102 unless you're driving into the, as a customer. And the customers for Tractor Supply come in with their muck boots, they have their horse trailers to get their feed for their stock. These customers are not looking for a boutique type effect. They like the very standard, successful
The-
store as they are located all over the country.
If I can add to that,
Yes,
I did a little research because I happened to drive by a Tractor Supply store in Ringe, New Hampshire this weekend, going to see my son play baseball, and it was different in design. So I took a picture of it, and I got curious, so I did a 10-minute search on the internet, and I found at least 20 different designs for the building, including the clapboard. And that was in a standard, like, built, I'll say corporate built, as opposed to them taking over a job lot or something, you know, where they're kind of stuck with the architecture. And it was the same structure except clapboard instead of corrugated metal and instead of the, what do you call it, half block?
The split CMU block?
Yeah, right. So that was part of, it seems that they offer different architectural exterior plans to fit in with their surroundings. So I don't think we're asking something that is unique, and it's something they've done in many parts of the country.
how does this fit into our surroundings? The nearest bricks are on the vet building
No-
across the road.
Oh, no, there's no bricks. This is clapboard.
I know,
So it's comparable to the Navigant,
right,
and I think that, is it an orthodonture
yes,
place next to it? It fits in with that.
right. I just feel it's totally unnecessary. The developer is going to bring a water line from the corner of 146A and 102.
Mhm.
And what's the length of that water line?
I believe that was, I think that's up to like 2,000 linear feet, if I remember correctly.
And what's the cost per foot to put a water line in like that?
That
Oh,
I'm not
geez.
sure.
Sure, it's a
Ballpark.
lot.
I know it's yeah, I'm not really sure, I couldn't say that for sure.
Okay. Mr. Carullo, do you have a ballpark figure on?
It's about $300 a foot.
Okay. I'm suggesting that the developer's gonna spend thousands and thousands of dollars to bring water. He's doing that to the community,
Mhm.
to the benefit of future development.
Mhm.
I think there's no need to impose additional cost on the building.
Oh.
That's
Do
my
you-
opinion.
But do we have an idea if there's additional cost doing clapboard versus the other?
We would have to ask that
Yeah,
question.
I'm unaware of that.
and if so, what it is, because
Again-
certainly our goal is not to put financial hardship on the developer, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, if it is something that the board wants, the developer did say he could do it on the front facade.
Right.
Obviously, he'd like to save the money, but if we needed to do this to pass it, then he's willing to do this.
I have
Okay.
one more question. The height of the berm you're going to be putting in to the south side,
Oh, yeah.
you're building up the level of the land so the water slopes toward
Yeah.
102. There will be some evergreens planted on top of the berm, I suspect.
Let me check the landscape plan real quick.
Yeah, I think that's what we asked for, correct? Yeah.
What I'm getting at is the very evergreen trees next to the orthodontist office are outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
You see it when you drive through Dunkin' Donuts. I wish the planning department could look up the species and suggest that to the developer,
You're right.
because they're phenomenal trees.
Yeah, and they grew in very quickly also.
They took hold, yes.
Right. We should be able to find that. That was a relatively recent project, right? 5 years or so.
That was about 10 years ago,
Was it
Mr.
really?
Chair,
the orthodontist.
I've been on here too long.
Shenandoah, red flower, and switchgrass, I think. I have a small, so I have a really small one. Yeah, we have the glory red maples on that berm.
I,
That's an evergreen?
I,
No, the red maple isn't. Are you looking for evergreens on that?
yes, specifically the type that's across the road at the orthodontist office.
I think that's a great suggestion. That's,
Yeah, we have no problem.
Go there with the app.
Replacing
Yeah.
the maple with evergreen.
okay,
I'm all done, Mr. Chairman. Thank
thank you. Mr. Menard?
Just to put a little input on the dock with the clapboard siding, and they talk about the costs incurred. It's gonna be, I'm not in the actual construction, I'm in construction, but not in the carpenter side of it. But as a estimator, something has to be behind that block, that siding anyway. So they're gonna put regular CMU block instead of split CMU block. So there might not be a giant cost offset, because the plain CMU block, I would have to think, is a lot less money than a split decorative CMU block. So they're gonna have maybe a minor labor cost on that.
They might be doing metal stuff.
So, just on that side. And I'm not going against what you're saying, because I have to agree that, you know, you look at a Tractor Supply, you look at a Tractor Supply, and it does sit far off the road. But if it is gonna be imposed, I don't think it's gonna be a major impact to the contractor, to the developer.
I was simply expressing my opinion.
Absolutely. So, anyone else? Any other comments? Mr. Porter?
Yeah, my biggest comment, and I made this at the last meeting with the previous applicant, was my issue with the zoning relief on the signage. We're in a fairly residential business neighborhood area, and I think a 48-foot square foot sign is just going to be very massive for the area that it's in.
Are you talking about the signage on 102?
No, yeah, the one freestanding sign we had, it's
Like-
listed as 12 square foot maximum, but they're proposing 48 square feet. And 8 feet in height and 11 feet is proposed. So that's,
So that's the marquee, that's like the, I forgot what they call it, but the marquee by the curb cut.
mhm.
Okay.
So that's my biggest issue, is that, you know, like I said, we're in a business neighborhood area, and would like to maintain what we have in our zoning ordinance for, as far as signage goes.
I mean, I believe that's the Tractor Supply smallest sign, to be honest. And I think that's why we went in for a waiver. 12 is just for a site this big, it just, especially we have it, I believe it's almost 20 feet off the setback, which is like 10 feet more off the road. It's kind of put back further. You're not gonna be able to see very well at 12 square foot sign, traveling, I believe this is, going in Smithfield?
That's east-west.
Traveling, east,
Okay.
because of the neighboring properties and have a heavily vegetated area there. So, the applicant would really like to have the sign, would really like to get a,
Could we do we have the site maps? We just go see exactly where the sign is?
I do have yeah, I have, so.
All right. Oh, right. Pylon sign, that's the name of it.
Yeah, the plans refer to see engineered plans, but I don't see any reference to it, or any.
Tammy, it's also on, I'm sorry, on the
Go.
website.
If the actual plans are probably up on the website, this is the PowerPoint presentation that was presented last time. So the plans might be better to see just because
Mhm.
they're bigger and they're not condensed into,
Do you happen to know if it's a backlit sign?
no, they typically have down lighting,
Okay.
signs, but, I mean, I think they do internal signs, but I've seen in the past if whatever regulations require for lighting on signs, that,
Yeah, we're not big on
they'll specify.
No, just backlit would be a bit obtrusive, I think.
Understood. Is backlighting against the regulations, against your regulations as well? I'm pretty sure.
I don't,
I don't think so.
it's actually against it, it's just a preference, it's a preference.
Okay.
And especially because I think the downlighting also helps with dark sky compliance and all that. But there are residences within maybe 100 yards or so from, because right after Dunkin' Donuts, there are actually houses. Now, it's different if the sign is shut off at night, but if it's on all night, that's different.
Is the pylon to be parallel with 102 or parallel with the drive?
Parallel with the drive,
Yeah.
perpendicular. to
Okay.
102, yeah.
Yeah, so if that's the case,
So it's
and
visible from both
if the
sides.
sign is gonna be of that size, I would be against backlit.
Okay. Let me,
Did you find it? Las Vegas.
in real time, the developer did say.
Seinfeld.
Okay.
I know that's unorthodox, but.
No, it's okay.
Mr. Chairman, while he tries to reach his client, we have to consider the size of the sign at Brigado's, enormous.
That's what I'm
Sign.
looking at right now.
The sign at,
Cumberland
across the
Farms.
road
Cumberland Farms.
for the vet or the vape shop,
Well,
it's
that,
an enormous sign, and I don't think they'll be out of character. If it's a closer residence, it is the one at the intersection of 102 and 146A. There's a house right across the road. And I'm not sure, but I think the new Bank of America kiosk, ATM, has a considerable
actually it does,
exposure, shall we say, of signage.
right.
So, again, I hate to see the developer be put to extra expense, and it's going to prove nothing as far as the rural character. And if we're talking about keeping North Smithfield rural, a Tractor Supply is rural. I don't have any strong opinions outside of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed they didn't have a New York City store. Yeah.
Is there any other questions while I wait
Yeah.
for that?
Any other questions while we're,
When would you anticipate they're breaking ground if you get approval?
I know they'd like to start, obviously, prior to winter, so I mean, obviously that's coming up soon, but I think that would be only clearing, obviously not much of anything else until the spring, just due to weather and construction.
right, okay. Well, I'd like to, I gave some thought about the signage myself over the last month, because of the other project as well. And I'm just gonna say, in the spirit of looking at things from different perspective, I look at businesses, as Dr. Benoit says, that, existing signage that we have, and also what businesses need to do to advertise their business, to make you aware that the business is there. And I looked at what 12 square feet gets you, and it's not a lot. Think about it, it's like a 4x3 or a 2x6. And I think of, how do you gain awareness, depending on the type of business as well, but something like this where they're trying to attract people who may not be familiar, and it needs to stand out from a distance. To attract business, to attract maybe spontaneous business. So I just put it out there that maybe there's a problem with the ordinance and not a problem, especially if we have all these other businesses, and I don't know when they got approval and what the ordinance said at the time. But if we have all these signs that don't comply with the ordinance, maybe the ordinance needs to be looked at.
Alternatively, though, we could be looking at a question of enforcement too. Because there are some folks that have come in and done what they've wanted to, and it's easier for them to ask for forgiveness
Oh, I
as
see what
opposed
you're
to
saying.
permission. And then, or at some point, we just don't have enough to enforce what we have.
But there, and you're right, if that's a problem, but it's a separate problem, but it's still a town problem if we're not enforcing it, right? And-
Exactly.
And because it sets precedent. But I still, just looking at the physical limitations of 12 square feet, you know, I'd want to see if there's any signs in town that are less than 12 square feet for businesses that are getting their name out there. I don't care where it is in town. It may vary with the zone, but there's a lot of business neighborhood. So I would be very curious if there's any that actually comply. But, you know, the other things like not having it backlit, having it downlit instead, that's considerate of the neighborhood, certainly. The height is another issue, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to also get an answer on if you have a sign that high, is downlit preferred if you don't do backlit, or is it up, or do you uplight it in?
No,
It would be downlit.
yeah, I think it would always be downlit because we're always going for dark sky compliance, right?
I
Yeah.
guess uplighting is more for the monument type sign where it's
Right.
on the base.
Yeah, correct.
He did say he'd be responsive, but,
Well, he could be in,
oh, he
You know.
did say yes. He's downlighting if
okay,
you, I know you guys are, he definitely wants to keep the size, but if he would, no backlighting downlit lights are acceptable
okay,
for that.
thanks for that.
For me, I'm not saying
Is he circling somewhere or?
he must be off the plane by now. That's what I was kind of nervous about too, if he was still circling.
Right,
He must, but he did say yes.
okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments from the board? Mr. Porter?
No, I think when we were last talking, this is, jumping to the Unified Development Review portion of the, and reviewing for the stipulations, or, I would only just ask that we add, we already have, any revised exterior elevations that you do have, for us to see those based on what we've talked about to date.
Yeah, we could definitely provide that.
Mhm.
Do you need to see that before you make an approval, or
No, we've made that
maybe
as,
a condition?
we've made that as a condition before.
Anything else? So it seems like we've added at least one stipulation, which is the downlighting on the pylon sign. It sounds like there may need further board discussion about the clapboard versus, let me just call it the stone. It's like CMU.
Split CMU.
Split CMU, excuse me. All right, you're an architect, I mean, so, I'm a software engineer.
You're forgiven.
Thank you. Do we need some further discussion on that so we can figure out the board's preference on that? Because that becomes a stipulation, right, if we want to go a certain way.
Well, as the applicant has stated so far, if the owner is certainly willing to compromise for it, I would say we accept his willingness to do so.
Right.
To be clear, front facade only?
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
That's a good compromise.
Yeah, there's nothing on the west side at all, and there's trees and Walgreens on the right, and the other back is completely covered, so who cares, it'll look fine. All right, so we'll add that stipulation as well. Mr. Carrillo, is there anything you want to add to this conversation?
I'm just trying to draft a couple stipulations.
Okay, thank you. Did we cover everything that we left off from last meeting?
I know at the last meeting, the applicant had stated that he would be willing to sell parts of the parcel of land that is on the south side of the project. Is that, he made that offer to some of the abutters that were here. Has that made any adjustment to what's been presented to us to date?
No, and I'm not sure if he's doing that or where he's at
Well-
with that process, but no, that hasn't changed.
Yeah, what he actually offered was to give them the land as long as they cover the legal costs of splitting and transferring the deed.
Oh, okay.
And from the looks of it, now that's of course between the landowner and them. It did look like there was a lot of interest in that,
Okay.
so. I did just think there actually is a third stipulation, was the change to evergreens on the berm.
That's correct.
The evergreens that are found behind the orthodontist office, which is like a more attractive version of an arborvitae or something.
It's a dandy tree.
Is that getting too specific, though, for this board?
I don't know. Yeah, it's at least a really great suggestion.
With the request or the stipulation of clapboard, I'm gonna put out there that the developer can choose a material that will sustain weathering in longevity and for their benefit of maintenance. You
Fair
know,
enough.
Like something like cement board opposed to cedar
Right.
will last
yeah.
a whole lot longer
Absolutely.
and keep their maintenance costs down.
Yeah, I
So I
think
just wanna
that's-
make sure that there's no, oh, it has to be cedar clapboard.
Right. It's a clapboard look.
Yeah.
Right. How we doing, Mr. Carrillo?
What's in the craft that is like keep opening the oven door and you're checking something that's cooking.
If there's no further comments,
So
once we have the stipulations in order, then we can vote.
So I would say that there are two actions necessary, and one is for the dimensional requests, which only has one stipulation, and the other, if that passes, the second action by the board would be for the land development project. For that, there were 8 stipulations proposed. It sounds like the board is contemplating 3 additional stipulations, and I'll do my best to try to read these into the record. It would be number 9 would be the applicant shall provide revised exterior elevations to include clapboard-type siding along the front facade prior to final approval. And that the proposed freestanding sign shall be illuminated with downlit lighting. And 11 would be that the applicant shall provide evergreen plantings along the top of the berm located to the rear of the property. I don't know if we want to get into the detail of the evergreen or what is currently being proposed now?
The rear of the property you wanted?
It is that
Yeah,
is
the
where the
berm
berm is. It's the
The
rear of the
berm is on the
property.
south side.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if, because the maple that I mentioned was a lot
Ah.
from. So, yeah, that berm for the basin, I don't.
Well, it's,
Yeah, it's to the
It's-
rear of the property.
yeah, if you walk out the
Behind the
loading dock
basin,
and
that's
keep
correct.
walking, you hit the berm.
I actually don't know then what was put there originally.
Let me take
I don't think anything, according to the.
Yeah, I don't think we had a specific planting.
Was the landscape plan submitted?
Yes, there is.
Yep.
Tammy, would you be so kind to scroll down on that PDF to go to page L1?
Is that it?
going.
Oh,
There you go. There's the landscape plan.
Yeah.
all right.
So if you scroll down just a little bit more to
Yeah,
get the
so we
bottom
can,
of the
there it
page,
is, that, right
you
there.
can see the berm, but there's nothing called out at the berm.
Okay.
It's,
Yeah, that's what I had here too, that's what I was.
there's a proposed berm, and then it says loam and seed with native meadow mix, see landscape notes.
Right.
Yeah,
So there was originally just a seed mix. You're looking for evergreens across the entire back?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I believe that was verbally accepted at the last meeting.
Okay.
It definitely is not the first time it's been mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apology, I wasn't here, so I just want to make sure.
That's all right.
Yeah, if it was, if we said it was fine last time,
Yeah.
it doesn't change on that one. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah, there is no trees originally on the design, so.
Okay. You can always follow up with the species via email.
You're not letting go.
Still think it's a great idea.
Put those in our land use and subdivision regs.
Mr. Chairman, what we would require anyway is the final plan set would have to include that on there, calling out the variety and indicating it on the landscape plan.
Yep.
By state law, all landscape plans submitted for approval are required to be stamped by a registered landscape architect in Rhode
Right.
Island. So I think that should cover it.
Okay.
So the first action, if it's the board's desire, would be to act on the zoning relief, dimensional variances that were being proposed, which included exceeding the minimum size, and to have a sign exceeding 12 square feet for 48 square feet. And the other was for retail sales and service between 20 and 40,000 square feet gross leasable area. So those are the two.
Because the square footage exceeds the standard a little bit.
Correct.
Okay. Hang on. Okay. Do we vote on those separately, if I remember
Well,
correctly?
you can vote on those together to grant the requested variances under Section 340, Attachment 2, which is retail sales and service 20 to 40,000 square feet gross leasable area, and Section 340-4.26D to have a freestanding sign in excess of 12 square feet, proposed to be 48 square feet. Height proposed, height required 8 feet and proposed at 11 feet.
Okay. Well, let's vote on them separately. So let's start with a motion to accept Section 340, Attachment 2, the retail sales and service square footage. Can we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Dr. Benoit?
Yes.
Dr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Promoted you there. Ms. Menard?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So the first zoning relief waiver is granted. Second one, Section 340-4.26D, the freestanding sign, 48 square feet versus the 12 square foot max, 11 feet high versus the, it says 8 feet required. I imagine that's max.
That's correct.
Okay. So, we have a motion to approve that. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have 2 seconds. So,
Guaranteed.
roll call vote.
Yes.
Dr. Benoit, Dr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Porter,
No.
Mr. Bernard,
Yes.
chair votes yes. So we've granted the zoning relief. That allows us to move on.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Now you'll be considering the land development project for approval with the proposed stipulation 1 through 11, 3 additional stipulations addressing the siding and a new elevations prior to final approval. Freestanding sign shall be downlit, not interior, with no interior illumination, and to provide evergreen plantings along the top of the berm located to the rear of the property. The other 8 were proposed last month, and they're carried over.
Okay. Looking for a motion.
I make a motion,
Any
as
particular
read,
motion?
as read by the planner.
A motion to approve.
To approve, I'm sorry, yes.
Thank you. All right. And we have a second for Dr. Benoit. So again,
With all the stipulations specified by the plan.
absolutely. So, Dr. Benoit,
Yes.
Dr. Roberts? Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Menard?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Very good. Thank you. Tell the applicant we hope he gets home safely. Tell the applicant we hope he gets home safely.
I'm curious if he's actually in Connecticut now, because that's where he was supposed to be landing, so.
Oh, get rerouted to Hartford, huh? Thanks, you too. Okay, next up. Did I go, oh no,
Yeah, this was a email from Bobby. Harry.
the number 9 or the,
Yeah.
yeah. Right,
Yeah.
all right. Item 9, administrative subdivisions, Dowling Village condominium.
Well, why don't you, if he's calling the subdivision now, you can just review the subdivision, Bobby?
Yep. That is the next one on the list.
Please use the
Yeah, but
microphone.
she had sent this email.
Oh, sorry, I was going by the, that's good.
Yeah, there,
It did get
just
updated.
for clarification, there was an initial agenda, and then we submitted an amended agenda or revised agenda, but, Mr. Chairman, we can address the administrative subdivision now. Bobby can make the
I-
presentation on that, and then we can go back to the,
Yeah, because the next item is
Yeah.
discussion anyway, so yeah, let's do that.
Okay, this is just, this is administrative subdivision. This is actually the second one that they've done. In 2022, the planning board approved a 30-unit residential development with 6 LMI units. And then in 2024, they did another administrative subdivision. Again, it's merging lots within that area where the condos are. They merged some lots, they actually merged a few, and then this merge was to take all of the left-hand side, lot 143, and connect it to the road, like the Dowling Village Road is actually part of that lot. Common open space. So they took there's a small parcel at the front of the property to the right of the condos. They took that lot, they merged it with the other empty lot to the north, and they just went and connected it to the whole open space, what is the driveway.
So
and-
this is them consolidating, you had the lot by the power lines, they had those 2, like, more or less abandoned houses or whatever like that, right? So this is just making everything one big lot?
There's actually there's 2 lots. There's go ahead.
so, yeah, Mr. Chairman, as part of that development that you're talking about, they merged 2 lots there, and they took residual portion of that lot heading back towards Dowling Village and a portion of it to the left. And there was a secondary lot in there that was kind of
Yeah, they merged.
rectangular shape, and merged it, as you're saying, all into one lot that starts out on, what's this road here, Bobby?
Old Exquisite Pike.
On Old Louis Quisset, and it wraps in through Dowling Village, comes all the way around and back out. That is because it's a condo development, that is the common open space, which includes some of the power line easement, drainage, and the roadway going in and wrapping around.
Okay.
That's it?
And we don't have to vote, so it's a done deal.
No, it's just for information purposes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. He can show you this if you want after the big.
In the future, if you could reference the north, south, east, west, get it right, left.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank
I
you,
could do
yeah.
that now.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
apologies, you're correct.
It's where the old beef
Yeah.
barn used to be.
No,
But that,
That
to
was
that-
last month.
it's south of the old Almax.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
It's a Rhode Islandism.
Okay, so, next item on the agenda. This is, in reference to the Town Charter, Article 12, Planning Department, and Chapter 22, the Local Planning Board and Commission, from the, Rhode Island, what does the GL stand for?
General law.
General law, right, 45-22. I knew it wasn't general ledger. So anyway,
Can't hear anything.
so can we have a little introduction for this item?
I think we'll have to count on the vice chairman for the introduction.
Sure. So, I'm also, not only am I serving as a planning board member and a building committee member, I'm also serving on the Charter Review Committee. And one of the items that the Charter Review committee would like to do is have outreach and dialogue with all of the committees and boards that are mentioned in the charter. Planning Board is one of them. I want to start by saying tonight is not just a discussion and then we're closing the discussion. I'm hoping a continued dialogue between the Planning Board, hoping that we can include the zoning board as well, because the zoning board is listed underneath the planning department, Article 12. And then also just get a conversation going for things that have been working for the planning board and the planning department, things that are not working, and just get get a discussion to go, to understand how to make us the most successful town that we can be, identifying some efficiencies, some areas of improvement, getting rid of outdated language. The planning board has certainly seen the past 2 years, year and a half of Rhode Island general law changing, and our responsibilities now are a little bit greater than what is listed in our charter in addition to what's listed in the Rhode Island general law. So the Charter Review Committee is working in meeting with all the boards and committees, as I said, and we're working to get an understanding of areas of improvement. And also, I also want to stipulate that while all of these conversations are incredibly important, we will be at some point prioritizing different things, because we don't want to be going to the voters and having 20 questions for a change in the charter. That could lead to some fatigue, so we will be picking and prioritizing the most important that the group feels in consensus with the rest of the town council and the rest of the boards to really move our town charter forward. So with that, really, I just, like to open it up to the board, and, I hope everybody had an opportunity to read both the general law attachments and the Article 12 that Bobby had sent to everybody. And again, this is just the beginning of probably many discussions on this topic, but certainly look to me as the messenger over to the Charter Review and going from there. And then that doesn't preclude the planning department from having any comments too. So if there are things that you folks have seen as far as areas of responsibility and the like, just please let us know on that end as well.
On that note, I would like to get the planning department's feedback now on how we're doing in regards to the significant changes that the state legislature made, with unified development and all the things that, now fall under us, and just give us a really candid, give us a grade, whatever, how are we doing on that?
How the board is doing?
Yeah, how's the
I
board
think,
doing?
I think the board's adjustment has been very smooth. Certainly, there's a learning curve, but I think the transition from simply being the planning board and reviewing development projects, and then having to add in consideration of dimensional variances and special use permits, has gone fairly smoothly, in my opinion. I think the applicants have adjusted. They appreciate the interaction with the board. I haven't heard any complaints from any of the applicants.
That's good.
And in fact, you'll notice they'll come up and they'll actually commend the board for their action. I think historically, applicants going from the planning board to the zoning board and then back to the planning board, sometimes because it's two different boards looking at the same project, there have been conflicting opinions between the boards, where a project will be approved by the planning board, and I won't get into the details of what they may be, and then they get to the zoning board, and it gets mired down or even denied at the zoning board, ends up in Superior Court, and then comes back here to the planning board, where if you're coming to the planning board, the planning board's deliberations, while they haven't been as technical as the zoning board in the past, are becoming more technical, but when it's the planning board looking at it, I think the planning board has been following the letter of the regulations the majority of the time. And Chairman, even when you say, sometimes we're following these regulations and then meeting the regulations, we have to approve the project. So it's more of a objective review that's happening as opposed to subjective and sometimes politically influenced with a small p by individuals in the room or the number of individuals that show up. So in my opinion, I think it's been an extremely smooth transition. And certainly as we continue this over time, it'll become even smoother as the members get used to the process.
Right.
But I think it's been a lot smoother than I thought it was actually going to be. That's my opinion.
So you set a low bar for us, but we got over it. That's good. Thanks. Thanks, Mark. I mean, I'm left-handed, so I know a left-handed compliment when I see one, it's like, it's all right. Yeah, see, you too, right. It's okay. Okay. Who else has any stuff for Jeff? Dr. Roberts.
It's not super detailed. It's more like high-level things for you to consider. And I feel like it goes across other boards and commissions as well. So it's not just for this board. But I would like to see more education opportunities for the residents to learn more about the comprehensive plan and to learn more about planning so that when they come to meetings, they know how to participate. And in terms of like what's going well, I feel like our planning department and our chair do a great job of empowering residents to participate and feel respected and everything. But there's still probably a level of knowledge that people just don't have because you don't really have it until you show up for something, that matters to you. So I would like to see some proactive education. And along those same lines of being proactive, like I was just looking at the list of all the different things that the planning board interfaces with, including housing problems and things like environmental protection, conservation. And I would like to see more engagement with those topics. For example, I know there's an opportunity coming up on, I think it's November 15th, for the planning board to be trained at that half-day thing that the state planning is putting on. And I think, going to those things and then also liaising with the Conservation Commission, which I don't think is an active commission right now, because we're trying to get someone on groundwater protection and we can't identify anyone who would be like the lead person to even lead that or talk to us about it. And we've reached out to numerous people. So I think just like connecting the relevant boards and commissions and having joint education opportunities and engaging residents. Those are kind of things that would really matter to me.
Can I want to add on to a couple things that Dr. Roberts said. In terms of the education part, I think that's critical. I mean, how many meetings have we had where you get a lot of residents here, and they really do not understand the process at all? And so we have to spend time educating them, meeting by meeting. Okay, this is probably going to be, it could be the only meeting they're ever going to go to. And I wonder if other towns, and I don't care where it is in the country, have provided some sort of, call it a handbook, whatever, something online that they can go to just get a quick understanding of the process. You know, even just the pre-application, the preliminary, the final, and the fact that where they'll have the opportunity to provide input. That right there goes a long way, because a lot of times they think, oh, that's it. It's, we get one shot to talk, and that's it, and that's not true. So I think something like that would be very valuable. And I'll also piggyback onto what she said about the Conservation Commission, which I don't know if that's within the scope of this, but it's been years since we've had, regular and valued feedback from the Conservation Commission, which we used to get quite regularly. And I know personally, sitting where I'm sitting, I always found that valuable. It didn't matter whether we agreed or not. It was always
Right.
It was always very knowledgeable and therefore impactful. And so anything we can do to fix that would be great.
Yeah, one of the observations that the committee has had is how siloed each board and commission is in comparison to, basically cross-pollination. There's a lot of things that are going on in town that, we could have impact with Parks and Rec or Parks and Rec and Conservation Commission. And, there's a lot of overlap, but we tend to stay within our confines of where we are. So that's one of the things that we are looking at somewhat broadly, is how we can break those silos down and have a lot more inter-board discussions, joint meetings, and what have you.
Yeah, I wonder if that can start at the comprehensive plan. Because we identify specific things, but maybe right in the comprehensive plan say which boards or commissions need to be involved in this.
Yep.
Because, we don't get enough of that input. I still feel like it was better some time ago, and it's decayed a bit. But that's another thing the residents don't realize. They'll ask us questions. We go, well, that's really a DPW issue. It's not something we can do. They need to know how that works. And so we need to provide that, whatever form of education. It can be in person, it can be online, whatever, but we should provide it. And then promote it. It does need to be promoted. And then it is up to them to learn more,
Adding to that, when you were saying what you would want to see, I was thinking almost of like a civic engagement boot camp or something, because I know the Secretary of State does that actually with youth. Like my son participated in it when he was a senior in high school, and they got walked through like all the processes. And I know that like the health equity zones in Rhode Island do a lot of civic engagement education. So maybe we could have, like when you have charrettes for a specific project,
Right.
maybe we could have interactive workshops that are just like more about the comprehensive plan and how to understand it, or, residents coming to understand like a public meeting process. Because I feel like that would also help with a lot of like the acrimony sometimes that people come. Because when I was saying about housing problems, I know that I know a specific person who is willing to do this workshop from Rhode Island Housing Works. And it's basically a workshop that educates like average residents, like any of us, that we're not experts in housing, about why we need low to moderate income housing and why it's important in the state. And because now with the new rules, like it would just be helpful for more residents to understand what that looks like, so that when they come to meetings, they understand what the limits are of the decisions that we get or don't get to make. And also understanding, like the example I've heard is like someone who's like a hairstylist or a teacher assistant, they can't afford to live in our town
Right.
because of how expensive the housing is, but they serve us and take care of our kids and everything. So it's like, if we want a diverse community, we have to understand what the housing problem is in our whole state.
And how many times have we had to explain that low to moderate income is not the same as Section 8, right? Right, that the affordable housing has minimum and maximum salary requirements, but these are like, it's like for a single, I think it's single person, I think it's $55,000 a year. This is not someone who's living off the, this is a real job, they get a nice car, they can be part of that, and then they also can't abuse the system because once they get over 75,000, sorry, you don't qualify anymore. But to make it affordable, but that is always equated. I mean, I was just talking to someone the other night, someone who is very active in town, a very active business person, who mentioned affordable housing and said, yeah, that's the new name for low income. And I said, no, it's not. And I just gave a brief explanation. He goes, oh, really? And I'm
So-
like, I couldn't believe it. You know?
So I'll even give the name, Annette Manborn from Rhode Island Housing Works.
Okay.
She is willing to come to
Yeah.
North Smithfield. She has a
I
presentation
just-
that explains like what you're
You said
talking
that,
about.
that would put out half of the, torches that they're carrying when they walk in here, and someone would leave their pitchfork at the door. It's like, that would just be so much better,
Yeah. And the other thing with de-siloing, like Mr. Porter was talking about, if we did do something across the boards and commissions with like some kind of civic engagement boot camp or whatever, that would help every board and commission, not just
Absolutely.
ours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
And I'd be happy to be part of that, especially the de-siloing, because, my background as an engineer, we always you had to have each group, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, software engineering, et cetera, get together and talk through things. Otherwise, oh, these two things don't fit together anymore. Oh, that's a shame,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, building on what the climate resilience workshop earlier, a month or so ago, was working on, even things like social cohesion that helps people in the face of disaster. It helps senior residents. So those are more de-siloing things. It could go across the senior commission. It could go across housing. There's a lot of cross-sector things that would get like much more brought forward, and people would feel better about living here, would feel better about showing up at meetings and not feeling like everything has to be such a like a conflict all the time.
Okay.
We should we can have like a little punch card. If you show up at 6 planning board meetings a year, you get a gift certificate at Bridget O's or something. I don't know. Just, I mean, I think encouraging participation is a good idea.
Yeah. Mr. Carullo, one question I had when we were looking over this article is that under our duties for number 6 is an annual report, where we say that the board shall report annually to the town council at the end of the fiscal year, summarizing the work of the preceding year and recommending plans for future development of the town. How often do we do that?
don't know.
And we won't hold you against this.
No, I've
hold
never
you-
done it.
Because we found it with other things that
And-
haven't been.
I would defer to Bobby whether she's ever seen that happen.
I don't think since I've
We
been
used to
on.
do
I was gonna say, I'm not-
annual plans for the town
Okay,
years ago, but I've never seen one done for the department
okay,
or the planning board.
Yeah, I've been on a little longer and I've never seen it.
yeah. No, it's
I can really
it's
say
funny,
no.
just,
If he hasn't seen it, we haven't seen it. It hasn't been done. Sorry.
it's one of those things that's popping up as we're going through all these sections. It's like, oh, has that been done by anybody? And it's just a question not only in just this section, but multiple sections where we're finding that, some of these things and activities may be outdated and not worth the time and effort, or maybe they are. So it's
Yeah.
just, asking the question if they've been done and if, when the last time it was done. So, and then, The other thing that has come up, and I know this is part of the new Rhode Island general law, is the idea of combining zoning and planning board to create a super board. Mr. Crullo, I don't know if you have any opinions on this. I know there's, we have some very talented members on this board. We have some very talented members of the zoning board, and I would hate to lose any of them if there was any combination, compilation of the two. But I was curious of your opinion and of that option, because I know the law has changed that we could do that option, but I'm not aware of the pros and cons as well as, you might be.
Well, the planning board is currently acting under Unified Development Review as the zoning board. So you're getting a taste of that experience. I mean, the zoning board has been more or less relegated to dimensional variances, like a shed, or if you're building a house, you need setback relief.
You mean projects that don't come before the planning board?
Right,
Okay.
just for projects that don't, any project that's coming before the planning board, the zoning board no longer has
Right.
any role in. Selfishly, with regard to combining and creating one planning zoning board, that would be additional work for staff in processing these
Sure.
minor applications and permits. We'd actually have to add a staff person to the planning department.
Interesting.
That we wouldn't be able to do it without doing that. We're barely able to keep, I'm not able to keep up right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. So selfishly, from that perspective, with regard to, the zoning board would be eliminated. So if there would be a merger, there'd have to be reappointment of
Yeah.
the planning board with
Yep.
either keeping the board in its current state or replacing members on the board, potentially with zoning board members.
Sure.
You can't have, two boards.
Well, wouldn't that also mean therefore that, right now you have this separation of kind of major versus small residential?
Right,
And-
I mean.
And we
does
don't see the small residential. Now we would have to see
With
everything?
the planning board, I would turn that question over to the planning board. Would you like to review variances for sheds?
Nope.
And, minor projects like that?
Yeah, it almost seems like that things have been separated now into sort of major versus
Yeah.
minor residential stuff, right? And I don't know if commercial falls into some of the zoning board.
Commercial could potentially fall into it if.
If it's small enough.
Someone was coming in and looking for a deviation,
Okay.
their project was able to be built simply by a building permit, and that would be
Right.
any building a project under 7,500 square feet, and they needed a dimensional variance for 1 or 2
Right.
parking spaces.
So it's,
I mean,
it's almost become, there's a planning board for major projects and
Yes.
and a planning board for minor projects.
yeah,
Instead of the distinction, because each handles zoning issues. So it's more like the names need to change, but it does sound like merging them would mean that the one resulting board would have to see everything.
yeah, and I'm not sure, like, if that was to happen, I'm not sure whether you would have to, I haven't read the statute in over a year, whether you would have to convene 2 separate meetings. One is acting as the zoning board, and the other acting as the planning board reviewing unified development, so that, you may, I'm not really, I'm sure you could convene 2 meetings in one evening and call a meeting of the zoning board, and address whatever minor variances were requested there, then close that meeting, and then open the meeting as a planning board and address some other
Just-
things, either in the same evening or 2 separate evenings.
But I don't think, yeah,
Does the
I
planning
think the
board
3-hour limit, I think
want
the
more of a
3-hour limit
workload? I
would be
mean-
tested more often.
I understand the concept, and I understand why the General Assembly did it, because as they were merging under Unified Development Review, they said, well, why not just have the planning board do everything? Well,
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate that feedback, Mr. Carullo. That sort of situation is going to be certainly town and city dependent, and, it's sounding like right now, it's not the best thing for North Smithfield,
I wouldn't
so.
I would agree.
be in favor of it personally.
Yeah, yeah. I think there probably is some value, though, if you look at it rather than planning versus zoning, and you say it's this kind of major, minor thing, because we're covering the same things for different scope of projects, right? There would be some value in periodically, whether it's quarterly or whatever, for the two to get together, because we are covering the same topics, to make sure that we're in sync and we're applying them the same way, and, you know, that kind of thing. I think there would be some value in that, so that it becomes more of a hierarchy,
Yeah.
you know?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, things are working pretty smoothly right now, and there's no need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, all I'm really suggesting is they rename it, to be honest with you, because, but now that it's clear, because I wasn't quite clear that it is really this designation of really kind of large versus small, and otherwise it's the same thing. Because I thought there could be cases where the zoning board might still deal with something that came through us. And if that's clear cut, then, yeah, great. Makes it much simpler, actually.
So for example, and you just touched on something. We had an application last month and an application this month where, rather than the applicant applying to the two separate boards, right? They came unified development review for Tractor Supply, we just had that. They could have applied to the planning board for Tractor Supply, not applied for the sign, and made a separate application to the zoning board just for the sign. And then the zoning board could review that. They could come here and say, we're asking for relief for this as a unified development review. You would have approved it, and then they could have applied to the zoning board and said, oh, we would like a sign that's larger than allowed to go with this, and the zoning board would they wouldn't have any authority over anything you reviewed other than that sign if they wanted to bifurcate those two applications.
How can they separate something that's part of that project? It's one project.
Because the sign is not a land use item related to planning and land use. It is simply a dimensional variance
Right,
for a sign. As a matter of convenience, they did submit this part of the application, so again, they wouldn't have to go to two different boards, but that's their prerogative.
Yeah, seems like a loophole, but yep.
Well, it is a loophole, but it's.
It's more time and energy for them, though.
Yeah, that's the discouraging part, right.
Exactly, but I'm just
Yeah, I
giving
get
you
you.
an example
Yeah.
of the difference between what a zoning board would do versus what the planning board currently does.
Right.
I just wanted to give Mr. Porter more feedback to consider for that committee that you're on. I feel like an open space plan is an example of like a cross-disciplinary plan that sits across things like planning, conservation, recreation, climate and social resilience, and even like our historical society. And I know in our comprehensive plan, we have a section on open space, but I remember maybe in the last 5 years, maybe 5 years ago or 6, DJ Osher, when he was on the town council, brought up and proposed that we develop an open space plan. And at the time, it wasn't voted up. But I feel like I want to bring that up because I feel like it fits under what you're talking about in terms of de-siloing and planning that's like more integrated with other committees and like resident engagement too.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you all. I appreciate the feedback. But please know that there'll probably be more discussions to be had as well.
Makes sense. Good. So with that, I think there's only one thing left on the agenda.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Second, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Doc was
Meeting
like
is
the batter
adjourned.
waiting for the pitch.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:12.
Very patiently.
I knew-